who's taking advantage of all these big losses that the UFC is taking lately?
Yep. One championship, man. Yes, sir. One championship. So they had an event on Friday. Right? They had an event on Friday. Look, he's putting on his pass. He needs his pass to be able to talk about
What's
one
up, dude?
championship.
What's
And
up, dude? What's up?
Oh man. So the reason we only covered 4 fights for the UFC, because we knew we were gonna need more time for one, but I think most of the time has been taken up. So I'll just let you cover really quickly the fights, your biggest takeaways. We had Allazov versus Superbon, main event.
Oh my god. Yeah, anybody who didn't watch this, if you're in North America, it's on Prime. You can rewatch it. It's included if you have Amazon Prime. Everywhere else, I believe it's on YouTube. Or if you just go to the ONE FC website, you can watch it. But yeah, Superbon versus Allazov, coming into the Superbon #1 pound-for-pound striker in the world, including the UFC. I mean, just incredible striking. These guys aren't mixed martial artists, so they can actually focus on it. You know what I mean? Allazov coming in, been on a straight-up tear lately, and has gotten
All
himself
natty.
to... All natty, both of them, all natty. Has gotten himself
First team all
to...
natty.
Yeah, has gotten himself to #2 pound for pound in striking, right? So they're coming in. This is like literally like the 2 best strikers in the world fighting. This allegedly, right? Obviously, you can say whatever you want about that, but very good coming into this. And you watched it or no?
Yes.
Okay, so Allazov comes in and he's so creative, right? Like they're both super technically sound, but Superbon's much more traditional. Right? He's much more traditional, low kicks, high kicks, jab, like all this stuff. And then Allazov comes in way more creative. He can throw things from outside. He's much more willing to take risks, things like that. And he just never lets Superbon even get started. He just comes right at him and is just throwing all these crazy... He's throwing the 1, he's throwing the 2, he's throwing an uppercut, he's throwing high kicks, he's throwing body kicks, and Superbon is just getting smothered. And I remember people in the chat were like, oh man, Superbon's getting off to a slow start. It's kind of like what they do in this style. And Allazov was like not letting him get started. And then he just KOs him. Yeah, HW Comer says #1 striker in the world. LOL, you didn't say this is a comedy show. Nobody watched it. So then how would you know he's not the #1 striker if you didn't even watch it? You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, fantastic fight. Allazov just so goddamn creative, and Superbon just never even got started. So now Allazov's the #1 pound for pound. I mean, what a fight.
But I think the style, though, in which he ended up being Superbon was super impressive,
he just
right?
Ran through him.
Yeah. So, of course, in the kickboxing, they had the 3 knockdown rule. He gets knocked down 3 times in the same round. It's a TKO. After the very first time that Superbon was knocked down, you could just tell he never got his feet underneath him again.
No.
Even when the ref was telling him, hey, step towards me, he kind of like slid his feet a little bit because he's like, if I try to take a step, your boy's falling. So
dude,
he slid his forward, gets caught right away, falls back on his ass again, stands back up, super tough, and then Allazov with that major right across the chin. And at that point, look, even if it wasn't the 3rd knockdown, after that last shot, he was out.
It's like the 3 knockdown rule, but he KO'd him on the 3rd one.
He KO'd him for sure.
Yeah,
and then, dude, you gotta love the gold confetti. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Do I have any? I think I have some in my backpack. I stole some when I was there. But
that's classic.
But yeah, Allazov coming into this, I thought that he could win, but I was leaning that Superbon would, just because, I mean, Superbon's track record is just, it speaks for itself. But Allazov, I mean, once he lost to Petrosian, who's also an incredible striker, and kind of ever since then he's got 1 loss since then, but the whole time was just insane. HLB Comer says Chingiz versus Superbon. Is that manga hentai shit Izzy watches? We're not talking cartoons here. HLB Comer, I implore you to watch these fights, because you're going to be like, God damn, these are good. They're so good. They're undeniable.
I'll be the first one to say, where I was on HLB Comer's side for the longest time. I refused to watch any Ryzen. I refused to watch anyone. And look, I wouldn't say I'm converted, right?
Nah,
but bro. I know that there's a few names that pop up where I'm like, this is must-watch TV.
Yeah,
I have to go. I have to watch this fight, and they've delivered.
And a lot of them were on this card. A lot of them were.
They've delivered every single time. Whether it's Superbon, Superlek, Stamp Fairtex, dude. I love watching her fight. Angela Lee. Like, there's so many of these people in this organization.
Demetrius Johnson, Anatoly Malakin,
Moraes.
RDR. Come on. Yeah. John Lineker versus Andrade. If you haven't seen that fight, they're doing the rematch next. Oh my God. I bet you I'm a bigger one hater than Will is a UFC hater. Oh, it's hilarious.
That is hard to beat, HOB Comer, just so you
It's hard to
know.
beat.
If you are saying that you're a bigger one hater than Will is a UFC hater, then you must really despise
Yeah.
One FC.
And definitely haven't watched any of their fights because it is impossible to hate them after you watch the fights. But yeah, that was the main event. Fantastic main event. The co-main was actually Superlek versus Daniel Puertas. Puertas was originally supposed to fight Rodtang on this card, but he steps in on short notice because they had a mishap with the weigh-in. Puertas comes in, Superlek. I mean, Superlek's so good. He's so good. But Puertas really surprised me in this fight. I'm being honest.
Well,
if
dude,
I'm being honest.
Puertas got caught with that right at
Yeah.
one point. And Superlek, the kicks are fast, nonstop, every part of the body. And so when he throws that straight right, catches Puertas like right
Yeah.
between the nose and the top lip, and you see him stumble. And that was what, the second round, I think?
Yeah. And then
Second or third round?
The third round is where Superlek really hurt him and like almost put him out there.
That's what it was in third round.
Yeah, and it was interesting because Puertas did such a good job of smothering Superlek so that Superlek couldn't get his kicks off. And then, but Superlek adjusted to that, and he would start. It was a kickboxing fight. It wasn't Muay Thai, so they couldn't strike. They couldn't clinch to strike, basically. But Superlek would do this thing where he'd reach over and just throw that step in knee every time Puertas would come in, because Puertas was kind of rushing in at some point or at some points, and Superlek started throwing that step in knee, and it was so nasty. And then in that third round, yeah, he had Puertas hurt pretty bad up against the fence and just was
Again, both these guys all natty.
All natty for sure.
Look at that picture.
Yeah. Hey, why do you think the fights are so good? You know what I mean? There's the step in knee right there.
That was something that was super impressive to me too, is the way that Superlek is able to throw different knees, different angles, depending on the situation. He didn't necessarily have to have a specific distance in order for him to be able to land. Like it's almost like he was throwing a hook to the body with his knee.
Yeah. He was able to like go out with it and then come back in almost.
Yeah. And so that's when Puertas was closing the distance, where Superlek would just come up and in, out and in, and hitting him on the arm, hitting him on the ribs, hitting him wherever. But it was awesome, man.
Yeah, HW Comer says the worst part. I must have clicked on one of those links from Will because Facebook now keeps suggesting one post to me. It's either that or it's because one of these taking over, and you better believe that they are. This was a close fight, though. I thought Puertas could have taken this one. It was really close. But
by the way, shout out Chachi too when they're talking about the
moment of silence,
death of the moment of silence, Victoria Lee, and then the guy that's with him after talking about Victoria Lee, and he's like, "All right, now let's transition over to this open weight tournament,
$1 million open weight kickboxing."
And Chachi looks at him and is like, "I'm not going to talk about that right now, dude.
Dude,
like honestly, I don't want to talk about it."
I already had a lot of respect for him, and that went up when we got to meet him and stuff, and he was super cool to us. And then this happened, and they do the moment of silence. He talks about Victoria Lee. You could tell he's like about to cry. It's super sad. The promo that they played almost made me cry. It was pretty brutal. And the guy from Amazon, that commentator, he's like, "All right, so tell me about this. I'm gonna have to shift gears here, but what do you think? Tell me some more about this $1 million open weight tournament that you're starting, 16-man tournament." And Chachi's just sitting there like, "No, I don't think we're going to talk about that." HW Comer says, "Is this where Francis will go? They could have him fight like 4 or 5 of these little dudes at once." Probably not. Even though I would love to see Malakin versus, I know this is a joke, but I'm going to take it seriously. I would love to see Malakin versus Francis, but yeah, probably not.
HOB, Will took your comment and spun it, and it was like, "One FC is good."
Yeah, exactly. Dude, bro, Malakin is fucking terrifying. Anatoly Malakin. Their heavyweight, their interim heavyweight champ. But yeah, respect for Chachi on that. We're not going to cover every fight. The Mikey Musumeci versus Bayan jiu-jitsu match was fucking awesome, though. I don't know how the hell Bayan survived. I don't know if you watched that, but dude spent the entire fight switching from leg locks to heel hooks, and it was disgusting.
Yes.
Mikey was like,
at one point I thought the guy's knee was gonna pop.
Dude, Mikey said he's like, I would switch away from it, but it kept popping. So I felt like I could have got to finish, so I didn't leave it. And he's like, I felt it explode like 20 times, and I was like, explode? What the fuck,
Oh,
dude?
dude,
Yeah, nasty. But yeah, that was a good
so
one.
cool.
Onglan Song versus Galvao was fun because Galvao is such a specialist with jiu-jitsu, and then Ong said, hold these hammer fists and then just beat the brakes off of him. And the next fight we're going to really cover is Rodtang versus Yibu, because how are we not going to cover Rodtang? The guy's a fucking tank. I mean, look at this dude. You all right, dude?
Yeah, he's having a good time. He's having a good time, dude. What I do, like, he gets caught right by Edu, and he
Yeah,
puts his arms down, and he does this like little
he
dance, and
always
like,
does that, dude.
dude, it moves forward, eats a couple more shots, and he's just like, all right, my turn.
Yeah,
This guy's he's
must
not
watch
human.
TV. Must watch TV. I mean, that happens if you watch. One FC has this highlight video of him that it's just him running through people and then eating like a high kick, and he does that shit. He like boom, and he just and then walks forward, and you're like, he's not human. He's not human. It's like Michael Myers. It's like a Halloween movie where like Michael Myers, they'll like shoot him, and then he just like
Just keeps on
goes
walking.
down, and then just gets back up and starts walking. And they're just like, oh my god, that's literally
Yeah,
Rodtang.
dude.
This was a
It was
fun
awesome
fight,
though.
man. Yeah, Yibu looked good, man. I'm excited to see him. He stepped in on short notice to take this fight. Like I said,
So this is
Puertas
my
was supposed
first
to fight
time watching
Rodtang.
Yibu. My first time watching
Yeah,
Yibu, and
got good
I
hands.
took it with a grain of salt here because I thought to myself, like, he's going up against Rodtang too. You know, so
Yeah,
like whatever he looks like right now, he must really be a lot better than this,
yeah.
which is pretty impressive, you know. But whoa, what is this?
That was his walkout. But yeah, because Rodtang was supposed to fight Puertas. So Yibu took this on like I think a week's notice or something like that, 2 weeks notice, and got some shots off, dude. His hands looked really good. I'm
Why does
excited to see
Rodtang
him
always
next.
look bored?
I know, dude. Probably
I'm
is,
looking through
dude.
all the one of C pictures, right? And every
Mhm.
picture I'm looking at, it looks like he's just like whatever.
Dude, I don't know how like he's special, man. I wish he would work on his defense a little bit because at the end of his career it's gonna be tough probably.
His
But
defense is his forehead.
I mean he literally just eats a shot, he'll do the shake, and then he's like, all right, cool, my turn, and then just beats the brakes off of you. I mean, this fight, the first round, Yibu looked very good. He lost the first round, but he did look good. And then it was just all Rodtang, just running through him. But props for Yibu for taking this fight on short notice and holding his own. He didn't get finished, so
Yep.
that means something, you know. Uh, but yeah, if anybody doesn't know Rodtang, for sure, check out his highlights at least on YouTube. His fight with Haggerty was fucking insane. Um, yeah, Rodtang's the shit.
All right. Last one.
Last one, the other big one, Stamp Fairtex versus Supergirl. Also a short notice fight because
Yes.
Stan Fairtex was supposed to fight Anissa Mexon in a mixed rules fight. It was going to be kickboxing, then MMA, then kickboxing, then MMA, transitioning each round. Would have been awesome. Anissa couldn't make it. So on one day's notice, Supergirl steps in to fight her. She was supposed to fight earlier on the card. Her opponent missed weight, so they canceled that fight. Brought Supergirl in. And Stamp gave up 10 pounds in this fight.
Mhm.
Supergirl's in another weight class, but holy shit.
Dude, there's no feeling out process. Right
No.
away, they start throwing blows. Anna did such a good job pinning Stamp up against the fence and
Yeah.
unloading, but then Stamp biting down on the mouthpiece, and she would get out of it. Instead of
Mhm.
circling out, she's like, well, let me come at you with my one,
Yeah,
two,
she
one,
literally
two, one,
fought
two,
out of
just
it.
over and over again. Yeah, which was super impressive. Now, let me ask you, do you think Stamp won?
Why are you doing this to me, Doug? What are you doing here?
Because I'm watching this, and I love watching Stamp, but I
Yeah.
was like, man, I, I thought Supergirl edged this out.
Um, live, I thought Supergirl took the. I thought she won. Um, it was a split decision. I think I could see Stamp winning. I don't think it was a robbery. I could see her winning because Supergirl kind of would take her foot off the gas for the second half of each round. Um, so maybe it's like they're letting like the end of the rounds like value a little bit more. You know what I mean? Sometimes like it's like short term memory, right? You remember the end of the round more than you remember the start usually.
Yeah, yeah.
And then also watching some of the highlights, there was a lot of times where Supergirl would have her up against the fence and was throwing those crazy combos, and Stamp did a decent job of deflecting and framing off. It's a lot easier with those big gloves, but yeah, I don't know. I think if I was judging it, I probably would have given it to Supergirl. But
Same.
I don't think it was a robbery. I think it was a really good fight.
It
It
was
was
close.
close. I thought they both should have got a bonus for this, if I'm being honest. They both took it on 1 day's notice. I mean, how do you take a fight on 1 day's notice?
Dana would have given them
Um,
both a bonus.
oh, definitely, definitely. With that budget. But yeah, I thought this was a fantastic fight. Kind of turned into a little bit of a super fight, honestly. Stamp was supposed to fight Anissa, which was a super fight. Supergirl was supposed to be doing a rematch. But yeah, Supergirl versus Stamp was kind of a little bit of a super fight.
There
Fun
we
stuff
go.
though. Fun card too. The whole
Well,
card was really good.
well, that's all we're covering from one. Was there any last things that you wanted to mention from one FC?
No. Well, I mean, they're coming to America finally. This Prime thing has been massive for them. I don't know if people on Reddit and stuff are realizing how much more stuff is popping up about one because this, like HLB Comer saying Facebook keeps suggesting it. I don't know if that's because of one of my links, but he also might just be joking. But I mean, dude, they're starting to become like undeniable, and I think this push with the Prime cards and now coming to America. We sat next to Rich Franklin. I mean, we sat next to somebody at the hotel breakfast over there in the Philippines, and they were talking about how there's 3 or 4 other states who are very close to allowing knees to the head on the ground, which would allow ONE FC to come to those states as well. It's definitely they're gonna keep coming back to America. And I think it's the perfect time because the public favor of the UFC is starting to drop a little bit. At least from like the diehards and stuff. Like if you look at like the forums and stuff, a lot of people are kind of being like, man, what the fuck are they doing? It's the perfect time for ONE FC to kind of transition themselves in. And I think people should want that because competition is good. If ONE FC blows up, it will make the UFC better. There should
100%.
not be one organization running everything. That's not how it should work.
Competition is always good. Competition is always
Yeah.
good. All right. Next week we have UFC 283 Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Hill. We also have Figueiredo versus Moreno 4, which, man, 4th fight, and every single one has been exciting. Exciting.
Yeah. People are complaining about that. Like, how many times are we going to watch this? They're holding up the division and stuff, all this stuff.
I'll
What
watch
are
it
you
every
talking
weekend.
about? What are you talking about?
I'll watch it every
It's
weekend.
such a good fight. It's such a good fight.
It really is.
Yeah.
So you have Glover Teixeira, Jamal Hill, Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno, Gilbert Burns versus Neil Magny, Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy, your girl
Jesus
Will.
Christ.
Paul Craig versus Johnny Walker, Shogun Hua, man.
Bring it out.
Yeah, the autographed
One
Shogun
last
Hua
time.
glove, dude.
One last time.
RoboCop's in there, Thiago Moises. Let's see here.
RoboCop was supposed to fight somebody else, right? Brad Tavares, and that fell through. And then now he's
Jonathan
fighting.
Almeida.
Yeah, Jalton Almeida versus Shamil. Hey, click on Jalton Almeida and tell me how many times they booked him to fight Shamil.
All right, clicking on Jalton Almeida now. Up, once, twice. Yeah.
Oh,
there we go. This
feels
could
like it
be
was more.
third time's a charm.
Yeah.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah.
All
Terrence
right.
McKinney on there. Man, Terrence McKinney is so much fun.
Thank you, HOB Comer. Thank you, Regen. Thank you, DL, JPZ, for joining us live. It's always a lot of fun whenever y'all join. And just a reminder, submit your picks for who you think will be holding all the different belts by the end of 2023. Props to JPZ again for winning the SOF fan pick belt of 2022. So let's see if you can go back to back. But that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So yeah, put it in the comments here. Message us on Instagram. Get those picks to us because there is a cutoff. The cutoff is when Moreno and Figueiredo step into the octagon. That is where the cutoff will start.
Shout out David too from Digital Marketing. Also joined us from Twitch.
Yeah. So yeah, get us those picks any way you can. Comments on YouTube or DMs on Instagram. We need them soon.
All right. Hey, just so you know, Will, this podcast right here, produced by Richard Bustos, none other than. Oh, we got the horn this time. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another week of Story of the Fight. Hey everybody, Ramiro and Will here. Thank you so much for watching that short clip. It's just a small clip of what we covered this last Sunday.
Yeah, if you want to check out the full fight card recap, the link is in the description, and it's going to be on screen at the end here. Don't forget to go back and watch our fighter interviews that we have. And don't forget to tune in live every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and you can join in on the fun.
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Goes a long way. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching that short clip from Story of the Fight.